It is Wednesday, April 26th, and the Give and Go show is back in your life with another playoff edition. My name is Griffin Queen, and as always, I'm joined by Matt Ferentinos and Matt Modi, and you might hear my dog shaking in the background. We're back. We're going to talk about the playoffs. A couple series got closed out yesterday. A couple series potentially could be closed out today or in the next couple days. Before we get going, however, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you click that like button. Make sure you comment below whatever you want to comment, and make sure you subscribe if you have not done so already. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or really any audio platform that we might be coming to you on, make sure you click that follow button and make sure you rate and review. I'm going to say the same thing that I say for my other podcast, List Night. Give us 5 stars or don't give us a rating at all. I don't want to see any 4 stars. I don't want to see a 3 stars. I don't want to see a 2 star. And if you give us a 1 star, we're going to find you and we're going to
hire Liam Neeson.
We're going to hire Liam Neeson to find you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm a little bitch, but
is he on,
give us 5 stars. Give us 5 stars.
What's the Cam thing?
Cameo?
Yeah,
Cameo?
Is he on Cameo?
I can't imagine Liam Neeson's on Cameo. I don't think Cameo is for like has-beens and never wasn't. Liam Neeson is still.
I don't know, man. Some like famous people do them for an extra pop. Like
name one.
Troy Aikman did them for pretty.
Caitlyn Jenner.
A bitch.
I mean, he makes millions of dollars and he does cameos.
That's true.
So, like,
that's a man who is motivated by money. That's true.
I was trying to look up
cameos. How expensive are his cameos?
The most expensive.
I think they were like $500 or something when I last checked.
Fuck.
Yeah, for like a minute.
Most of the people that I see
so I was like,
Cameo
for
are
maybe
like
my dad,
personalities, barstool people, guys that used to be on like talk radio in the 90s, back when talk radio was still like a thing.
We should do cameos. We should set up an account.
Dude, people don't want to pay for like our actual podcast. They're not going to pay for cameos from us.
Well, it's shorter. Tony Allen's on Cameo.
There you go.
Richard Dreyfuss.
King of the Grind.
Grit and Grind. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful.
Richard Dreyfuss. Didn't Richard Dreyfuss announce recently that he was sick?
Was he the guy in Friends who played Richard? So is that the same actor?
Richard Dreyfuss is.
Is it? I don't know.
He's a
that's not.
I just could have sworn he said something recently about being sick. I thought I saw something on like Twitter. I could be confusing him with somebody else. Don't get me a cameo from him. I don't have a connection with Richard Dreyfuss.
Gotcha.
It's expensive. He's like the top 5th most
Love
expensive
the Dreyfuss
person.
talk.
Who's the most expensive person on there?
Caitlyn Jenner.
At how much?
Caitlyn Jenner.
$2,500.
Jesus fucking Christ.
What's the time?
Aren't you already like a billionaire?
Like, what's the? I wonder what the length of the videos are for that much.
Let's see.
I want to dive into this, but this is.
I wonder how much per second her time costs.
Aren't they like 90 seconds or less? Let's see. Book a cameo, book a personalized video, or you could book a live video call for $7,500.
Oh, a live video call.
Yeah.
Great.
We should bring her on the Give and Go show.
Yeah, we'll pay $7,500.
All right, guys. Anybody who's listening to the Give and Go show right now, hit
my
Venmo at Griffin-Queen. You'll notice the profile picture is not of me. Don't worry about it. That's the correct Venmo.
That's how you know it's me when it's not me.
It's not me. Yeah, it's a guy, somebody else. Send me money, and eventually we'll raise enough money to get Caitlyn Jenner on the Give and Go show. And that'll be an experience for everybody, including Caitlyn Jenner.
That's who we should pay up for on a basketball podcast is Caitlyn Jenner.
Well, I mean, former Olympian.
True.
Give her credit. She is the most acclaimed athlete of the 4 of us.
Think she knows ball?
I think she's probably got to know ball, right? I mean, with the amount of NBA players that have dated her kids.
That's true. She had just by proxy.
Yeah, like there's no way she has not watched at least one game of basketball with Tristan Thompson or
Devin Booker,
Lamar
Odom,
Ben Simmons.
The one that
Chris Humphries.
Chris
Humphries. That's it. Yes, Chris with a K, so that he fits the branding of the Kardashian family. God damn, I hate that we know this shit. You guys want to talk about basketball and not the Kardashians, or do you want to talk about the Kardashians?
I'm down.
All right, let's talk about basketball.
I just saw a cool little fun fact, just like internet post, but the playoffs this year could be the first time that a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 seed win in the first round.
I did see that.
Kind of cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've not seen that.
So the Nuggets just won against the Wolves. Celtics are
that's a 1.
Sixers
Two.
swept. So I'm going down for like all the
Sure.
different numbers. So the Suns were the 4. The Knicks are up 3-1. Warriors tied 2-2. But I mean, Fox with the injury, and
I
they
hope it
kind of
doesn't
took the
happen then.
momentum.
I hope it's not the Warriors that make
It's
it
like
happen.
what could potentially happen with the Heat, which would spoil it if the Bucks won, because I do think the Bucks, like, they could get hot and win 3 games easy.
I still think the Bucks
Like,
are going to win the series.
If Giannis
I still think
just,
they're going to win.
do you think if he just like goes ham on Jimmy Butler, like
I
yeah,
don't
this
think
might
he
impact the
can go
Bucks?
ham. I
You
don't
think his
think
back is
Giannis,
worse?
with his back the way that it is going to be able to go ham for 3 straight games. And
Do you
Jimmy
think
Butler
Jimmy has one game
clearly
in
still
him?
has something still in the tank. I think he's got at
Yeah.
least one game still in the tank.
Because that's the thing that will get the Heat to win, I think, is if Jimmy Butler could do it one more time. But I mean, he was hurt. Was it a few years ago when the Heat just got demolished by the Bucks, and like Giannis completely
It was a
like
sweep.
They got
destroyed
swept.
him.
Yeah.
But
They
I
looked
think
awful.
he
He averaged like 15 points a game.
was terrible.
I think he
that
was
was
injured
the
though,
same
or
thing
they
as
like
the
said
Lakers.
something about that he was injured.
It was right
So, I
after
mean,
it
was the playoff run after the bubble. So the
Yeah.
Heat and the Lakers had the shortest offseason in the history of the NBA. Jimmy looked pretty average during the course of the season. Like everybody on those teams looked pretty average over the course of the season. And then they were just running on fumes when the playoffs got there. Like, if that's the one bad Jimmy Butler playoff series, I don't even know if we can like reasonably hold that against him, because it's such a
put up the greatest game in Heat history.
It's the outlier. It's clearly the outlier.
It's the outlier by a significant amount, and it's an outlier
Yeah.
for something that has nothing to do with what he did. It's just the NBA was like, okay, we're starting the season in 45 days.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, and even like pre-Heat, like he was awesome in the Sixers run. He was awesome in some Bulls runs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I guess like he never really had a chance in the Timberwolves in like the year he was there. But yeah,
Well, he got hurt 20 games
Imagine
prior
if
to
he
the
was still on
playoffs and
the
then came back
Sixers.
for the playoffs.
Him and Embiid together.
Jimmy, can you imagine them on the same team?
Could you imagine them?
Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid. Could you?
You wouldn't have gotten Harden.
Oh no, that's devastating.
Well, I mean, he's a regular season king. He's great for seeding.
We wouldn't have gotten Tyrese Maxey probably, and that's what
That's
will
true.
hang
That's
my hat
true.
on.
I imagine. I mean, I'm not saying you would have had a worse roster. You may have had a better roster. Things would have just played out pretty differently. And I mean, you're probably not looking at an Embiid MVP, but
yeah, I mean, it's like a whole.
Yeah.
Sixers
I love
might
the
have made
rabbit
conference
holes.
finals last year.
I love butterfly effect rabbit holes for the NBA.
Yeah. It feels like the NBA
Yeah,
more than
speaking of
any
that,
sport.
Did you see Kyrie came out and said, if I wasn't hurt, everyone knows who would have won that year?
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Can we
That's why I'm wearing.
Year?
So I'm rooting for the Suns. I'm passing on the curse.
Did you see it, Moda? What he's talking about?
Oh, Kyrie he like tweeted, and it was a screenshot of the play where Giannis undercut him under the rim. It was a hustle play. I'm not even gonna act like that. I think it's more just fragility, bad luck, shit happens. But
shit happens. We
talked about
it
like,
last episode.
everyone knows
Crazy
if I
that
didn't get
guys
hurt,
don't get hurt on those.
Yeah, he basically just said that if I didn't get hurt, we would have won that series and probably won the championship that year. And that is how I feel as well, but you can't really get hypotheticals. There's not a lot to argue with, but I thought that was funny that he just brought that up after the fact. So I'm also rooting for the Suns for the rest of the playoffs because the teams that I root for really let me down. So, I'm hoping the same things happens with the Suns.
I mean, you could root for LeBron
it's
James.
The Steve Nash jersey.
Steve Nash, classic.
That's big
classic.
Old school Steve Nash jersey. So I do like the player and the jersey, but down with the Suns.
Yeah,
or go Suns.
If I was gonna wear a Suns jersey, it'd be either Nash or Stoudemire.
Devin Booker's been going the fuck off though. He's been killing it.
Yeah.
And I think Jared's got a couple Devin Booker jerseys, and I love Devin Booker. I love Devin Booker since he got drafted, but
he went first.
I'm not gonna forego my Lakers relationship for a Suns jersey for a current player. Like it'd be a retired guy, like Steve Nash.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Or Joe Johnson's a great Suns jersey.
Yeah, there you go.
Joe, you could have a Joe Johnson.
ISO Joe.
A third of the NBA.
You could also get a Nets Joe Johnson, couldn't you?
Yeah. He was legendary.
You could get him. You could get him on a few of the teams.
Hawks. I think he was on the Jazz most recently.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting all the Joe Johnson jerseys.
It's like
existed.
Josh McCown. You seen that picture of like all his kids wearing every jersey?
Yeah.
All his different jerseys.
Yeah.
There's some guys you can
ISO Joe's teams. Let's see. Well, Team USA is the team that comes up right away. Hell
You
yeah.
you could do Trevor Ariza for like half the NBA.
Ariza's a good one.
God, who else? There was somebody I was thinking about. Oh, Ish Smith. You could do
Ish Smith's been forever.
Ish
two
Smith's been
different
around, too.
variations of both, I think, Philadelphia and Wizards jerseys, because I think he's been on both teams twice.
And I think the Pistons twice. Definitely one of the times. I can't remember if it
Ish
was
Smith, if I remember correctly,
There's
has
something in
been
common
on-
with all those franchises. No,
has
like
been
it's
on
the
11 teams.
Sixers.
The thing that they have in common is that they were smart enough to pick up Ish Smith, who's very good at basketball.
He is good. He's a bucket. Ish Smith
He's
is
a bucket. The dude's
A
like
walking
5-0,
bucket.
and he runs the point better than half of the starting points in
He
the
is.
NBA right now.
He's one of those players that like every time you watch when he comes on the bench, you're just like, oh, like his game is really clean.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
If I see a team has Ish Smith on the roster, I'm like, all right, that's a first round exit.
You're
He was on the
rooting for him.
Nuggets. I think he played good minutes on the Nuggets before.
I mean,
He's never played. He's never played bad minutes. Anyway, I'm pretty sure. Have you guys seen the RNBA post from years and years ago where somebody was trying to convince people to like be Bucks fans or whatever, and they like ran down the list of all the Bucks players, and it was like Giannis, Greek, freak, and just like they're saying everything, and they're talking about all the different players, and it's like Ish Smith is a point guard.
I mean, technically true.
Ish Smith, yeah.
Wow, his Wikipedia, Ish Smith is crazy.
He's played dude. It's like literally
Everywhere.
like the descriptions of everything too.
Yeah.
He's got a deep.
He's probably
Wikipedia
played
page.
overseas, you think, too, right? Or no, just been in the league.
He might be overseas now. I don't know if he was on the team this year.
He's not. He's never been overseas, and he's currently on the Nuggets.
Damn,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Nuggets. There
He's
you
on the
go.
Nuggets now. Okay,
Yeah, which I didn't realize that was now.
because he was on the Wizards last year. Yeah,
And then 2 years ago.
also 2 years ago,
Yeah. I mean, I can
Him
read
and
his.
and then I
Jokic
think also like
cooking.
11 years ago.
No, it's
Maybe.
Rockets, Grizzlies, Warriors, Magic, Bucks, Suns, Thunder, Sixers, Pelicans, Sixers, Pistons, Wizards, Hornets, Wizards, Nuggets.
Jesus Christ, what a beast!
I know.
It's like the GOAT journeyman. Like the fact that you're getting contracts from every single one of those teams, and you're like you're a genuine contributor. Like Ish Smith again is good at basketball. If he was 4 inches taller, he'd be getting max contracts for half his career.
There are players that I feel like go from team to team and like constantly elevate their team and do well. And he's definitely one of those players. Unfortunately, there's nothing you could do if like it's a tanking team or you're just not in a good situation. But he generally,
but he's a great
I feel
guy
like
to
it's like a
have because
good-
he's gonna be a good vet, and he's like a less competitive Mike Conley. Like your team is going to be better when he leaves the team than they were when he got there, because he's gonna be just the perfect vet. I didn't think this was going to turn into an Ish Smith like dick sucking session.
I mean, I love
you know, if is he on Cameo? Let's get him
Well,
on here.
speaking of sexual comments, Ime Udoka, head coach of the Houston Rockets.
I thought you were going to talk about Doc Rivers not playing with his meat.
he did hear from his players that that's not the correct setting.
It's not. Yeah, that's not. Well, those are two different things. What you were saying is different than what you said.
Yes. He meant don't play with your food, correct?
Correct.
I forgot the context of the statement, but I assume that's what it was.
Yeah, he meant don't play with your food, just like beat the nets, basically.
Yeah,
but
beat your meat. Your meat.
That's basically said. No, don't beat your meat. That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, Ime Udoka to the Rockets. You know, I hope for their sake that he's a good coach, but it's very hard to say what kind of coach he is now because he was only there for the 1 year. The Celtics ascended, but they're still just as good as they were last year.
Yeah.
And so maybe it was just right time, right place for him, kind of like Scott Brooks during the early Thunder years. Like
Steve Kerr, his whole career.
No, Steve Kerr is a good coach. Steve Kerr has won everywhere he's ever gone, with I think the exception of the Suns.
Was he? But wasn't he the GM? Like, was he not the GM during the 7 seconds or less? I thought he was.
I thought he was after 7 seconds or less. I thought he was like
you might
2009
be
or something like that.
Right after that, you might be right.
Because he left, he was there, and then he did the commentating thing, and then he got pulled, I think, from commentating to go to the Warriors. Correct. If I remember correctly.
He took, basically him and Mark Jackson just flipped jobs.
Yeah. I don't think that he may have been there for like the tail end of 7 seconds or less. And I'm sure it's very easily Googleable.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he was like instrumental in building those teams.
He was, no.
He's instrumental with dealing with fights between.
No, he was there.
Was he?
He was there from 2004 to 2010. He became the general manager in 2007. So I don't know when the Steve Nash trade happened. I think it was before 07.
From the Mavs.
I feel like it was 05 or something.
Right? I think it was 05 because Steve Nash won MVP in 06 and 07.
Okay, so he was part of the executive team, but he didn't become GM until after they'd already acquired Steve Nash. So
and actually, I feel like that makes sense because I feel like he was also part of why the Warriors acquired Shaq, or not the Warriors, excuse me, the Suns. I think he pushed for the acquisition of Shaq to like get.
You're right.
Use his last legs.
You're right. 2008, he traded Sean Marion and Marcus Banks for Shaq.
Yeah. And that was Shaq and that. Yeah, I mean, for like selling tickets, I guess that's a good deal. Shaq at that point was wiped out.
Shaq's last still a bucket.
Shaq's last like 4 years. Heat, Suns, Cavs, Celtics. It was like every
team. Celtics jerseys are so gross. That was like the worst.
That whole process was so gross. The fact that Shaq and LeBron were teammates is something that I like. Just like I'll wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the nights remembering that happened.
And I remember like when he was on the Celtics, reports came out that like him and Kevin Garnett couldn't be in the locker room at the same time because KG.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because KG was too intense and Shaq was always goofing off.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
But also, like if you're Shaq, like you have 4 rings to KG's 0 at that point.
Yeah, was that? I think that was after they'd already won. But yeah, whatever.
What year did Shaq retire?
I think it was 2010 when he was on the Celtics.
Oh, okay.
I think it was our freshman year of college.
Jesus Christ.
Do you think
I can't believe he played that long.
It's crazy.
Kobe, be like, dude, I can't believe you put up with this bullshit.
KG, yeah, probably.
Well, I mean, at that point, KG and Kobe were still playing, so I imagine that they like refused to admit that they liked each other. And then the minute they both retired, they were probably like, "Yeah, we've been boys for 20 years," because they're both fucking weird. They're both weird people.
Yeah, I mean, the psychotic competitiveness. I mean, you have like to be that good, you have to be a little crazy.
I remember that last year, the KG. We have gotten so off script.
This is like an off-season
podcast. That KG went back to Minnesota, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, he's going to become a part owner and all this shit. Like he's going to mentor Cat, and he's going to play like 6 minutes a game," which he did, and they were bad. They were real bad. And like Cat's going to be just as ferociously competitive as KG was, and it's been like 8 years, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, maybe Cat's
don't see Cat going down that road.
His name is Cat.
Yeah. Probably Cat.
Do you want to quickly just go through the series here and just pick the winners? I think the obvious ones are Bucks Heat's not the obvious one, but I was gonna say Celtics, Hawks, Celtics, pretty obvious. I mean,
is it obvious?
I think so. Yeah.
Thank God I didn't. I would have bet my mortgage that the Celtics would have won Game 5. Like I was legitimately.
I'm really glad you didn't. I'm really glad you didn't.
Yeah,
no Murray shocked. Too.
Say it again.
Trae Young, no Murray, and Trae Young actually being like effective.
Trae Young looked incredible last night.
Yeah, it shows that he has that in him. Like he can still do that. But
yeah, and there's a really, really strong argument off of that game and also a couple regular season games that the Murray trade was a mistake because you just can't pair them together well. Like two good in a vacuum talents, although Trae is better than Murray. Like I don't think that's up for debate. Murray was not the guy to put on that team. Like you needed a complimentary star, not a my turn, your turn guy.
And someone who could like be an off-ball shooter. Like that was the biggest problem was like they both needed the ball in their hands. Well, did you guys see that Trae Young and Joel Embiid now follow each other on either Instagram or Twitter?
I did not see that.
Yeah, people are talking.
Wow. I mean, there was a point this past
I wouldn't mind that.
season,
Trae Young to the Sixers.
The Hawks, which I don't know. I'd probably mind that if I was a Sixers fan at TV.
Listen, if it goes from James Harden to Trae Young, I would rather have Trae Young than James Harden.
You paying Trae Young like Trae Harden.
God, the most disgusting, awful player.
Yeah,
he gets
either the best offensive player ever or the worst defensive player ever.
He only shoots free throws and step back threes from 40 feet.
I mean,
Trae Young's got to be coming up on his next contract, right?
I think he just got super maxed.
Did he? Okay. Yeah, so then, like, at least you already know what money you're
getting. For a couple of years. I mean, yeah, for a couple of years. I mean, like,
the Hawks tried to get Kyle Kuzma. They tried to trade John Collins for Kyle Kuzma. They were trying to pair him with Trae Young. And
that would have been a good trade.
It would have made them better. John Collins has regressed this year.
Yeah. I mean, we all know I'm not a Trae guy. At least he shows up in the playoffs, so I'll give him that.
Yeah. He lives for the playoffs. He's got a little bit of Jimmy Butler in him.
Yeah, and he's only 24. Like Embiid's 29, so it's not like Embiid's young, but it's more on the timeline than like fucking 34-year-old James Harden, who's like he's probably going to want the max. Like I'd rather max out or have Trae Young on the max
as a max contract.
Yeah, like a sign and trade. James Harden can go to Houston. It wouldn't be ideal, but I wouldn't hate it if like the swap ended up being Young for Harden.
There's a version of the Trae Young Joel Embiid pick and roll where it's averaging like 2 points per possession, like some fictional number. And where like the they just spam it constantly and you guys win 60 games.
And the number of free throws is like an abomination.
No one on earth would support the Sixers. I'm telling you that now. No neutrals would go to be Sixers fans during that period.
See, I would have thought nobody would root for the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and then they played the Patriots, and the whole world was on my side.
You guys were a lovable team.
Yeah, because
the whole world except
we all we need. Like that shit was tight. And I mean all Nick the Foles, Meek Mill stuff. Big Dick Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he on Cameo? Let's get him out here.
So if like the Sixers play like the Warriors in the finals, probably people would probably still root for the Warriors. So that they have like have been incredible, but are not like universally hated like normal.
I would root for the Sixers in that situation 11 times out of 10.
What do you think?
Give me the Warriors.
There's no universe where I'm rooting for the Warriors. Well,
but don't you think like
you hate the Sixers more than I do?
Well, don't you also think more people would have rooted for the Warriors than in that situation than the Patriots?
Yeah.
Because
the Warriors have only been on top for like 8 years. The Patriots were on top for 2 decades,
20 years, and they fucking cheated.
And it's also I think how people contextualize football versus basketball, where people like travel around a lot more in basketball circles. I'm like, oh, I like 5 different teams because I like so and so superstars. Football, it's like, here's my team. I hate everyone that's not on this team, and like fan bases are so much more massive that like the aggression is so much louder.
Yeah, it is.
Basketball's weird where it's like people root for superstars. I'm sorry about my dog. Like they don't in football.
Yeah. I mean,
they root for superstars.
There's 5 guys on the court.
Football.
So like if there's one guy that you really like watching, I understand being like, yeah, I'm going to travel with this dude, which is what a lot of LeBron fans, they want Cavs, Heat, Cavs, Lakers.
I mean, that's what I've done. You see their play style just so much more often too and featured in basketball than like, that's why I still love like running backs. Like back in the 90s, they'd get like 30 carries a game. So you always saw them touching the ball. That was interesting. Like they wear helmets. They're not as
recognizable
as NBA players.
Yeah, and it's 11 players versus 5.
Yeah.
And NBA players
and the game's also changed, like free agency and player movement and all that shit. You can't count on somebody being on your team for an extended period of time anymore. So unless you're like die hard for your team, you might as well just follow players around. I was talking to Jared about it yesterday. LeBron has at this point been on the Lakers longer than he was on the Heat. That's weird.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
This is his 4th year on the Lakers?
This is his 5th year on the Lakers.
This is his 5th year?
He joined them after 2018.
So it was the weird year, then the bubble year.
Yeah, there was the leg injury year where
like, everyone's getting traded for AD.
Yeah.
And then it was the post-bubble year, Russell Westbrook, and then this. That's crazy. I would have never thought that. I guess because those 4 years in the Heat were like, it's like when 4 years we were in college. It's like those 4 years.
Right. Those were more meaningful 4 years to us.
Yeah.
And also the past 4 years have been the weirdest in modern history.
Yeah.
So like everyone's sense of time is broken.
Yeah, your concept of time is longer.
Yeah.
And
now,
that Heat
we're gonna wake up and be like 80.
That Heat team during those 4 years, they were the A side of every single thing that happened in basketball for those 4 years. Whereas the Lakers are the Lakers. Of course, they're a big deal. LeBron is LeBron. Of course, he's a big deal. But we've had this incredible Celtics team. We've had the ascension of Giannis. We've had the Warriors coming back around to build onto their dynasty. Like it's not.
And we had
the same as like we're gonna win 7 titles in 7 years.
Not 1, not 2.
Not 1. Yeah, exactly.
And also like COVID, it's like time stopped. Like it still feels like we're like in February of 2020.
Yeah, I mean, like if I were to think about the bubble year, I'd be like, yeah, that was like a year and a half ago. Nope.
It's crazy. I know. It's wild.
Not correct.
Yeah.
All right, so we're liking the Celtics.
We're liking the Celtics. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the only option that makes sense. As much as as cool as it would be to see Atlanta win. I mean, the Celtics have too much firepower.
If the Bucks in the Celtics lost in the first round, I would cream my pants to like an unhealthy amount.
Yeah.
No way
Like,
that happens.
No, there's no way. I mean,
Jalen Brunson would come out of the East.
Also, if that happened, the Sixers would 100% lose to the Hawks again in the second round, and it would break. And it would.
If let's say the Knicks are the ones that come out of the East, is everybody in the front office in Dallas like forced to commit like ritual suicide? Like that's got to be their only option.
Oh
right?
my god!
Like to have fumbled that. Like you have to. If you're Mark Cuban, you have to sell the team.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That's the
it's
rule.
Like
that's the rule.
Mel Kiper saying if Jimmy Clausen isn't a 10-year starter, that he's got to retire.
Yep. There you go.
What do we think about speaking of the Brunson Knicks? So do we think that they're going to get out of that series? Do you think the Cavs have it in them to rally back from 3-1, or they're done?
They just can't score. Like I never would have thought we would live in a world where Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell can't score, but like they just literally can't.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's getting exposed a little bit defensively because as long as his arms are, he is still one of the smallest guys on the court, like actual size wise.
The
The
Knicks have
lack
swagger.
of interior defense from the Cavs is getting exposed. Like they just can't bang with the Knicks. Like Mobley and Jared
You
Allen
would think
both want
a
to be
team
like
with both those
bigs.
guys would be so much better rebounding, but they're not.
They're
Mobley
not.
is getting a little bit exposed for being how slight he is. Like he can't do anything against.
Yeah, he's got no muscle.
Robinson.
He's got not no muscle. He's got no weight on him.
Yeah.
So that's got to
Julius
be
Randle
a big thing for them.
is
Is
like
like
a
you
beefy
can't be
boy.
built like Kevin Durant. You got to be bigger. If you're gonna go the
Yeah,
who's
Kevin
that-
Durant, you
gotta
can't
go
be
the Tim
built like
Duncan
Kevin
route.
Durant.
Who's that super thick boy, that guy that played like one game, the rookie who had like 45 points, 47 points?
Semi Ojale? I don't know.
No, he's
isn't
on
Semi
Boston.
super
Ojale-
thick boy, Zion Williams
No,
for one of these teams.
No, it was maybe a team that's worse. I would say he would be a good fit on the Cavs. He'd be exactly what they need.
Super
Um,
thick boy.
I mean, you remember like the whole memes about Semi Ojale?
I don't
No.
remember that, but he's on the
He was on the Celtics.
Celtics, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
remember
just
he
don't
played
remember
some-
memes about him. Was he particularly heavy?
I think he was just he had Kyle Lowry like
Oh,
behind.
got it.
Yeah, he was thick.
He had some junk.
Yeah. There's like a funny meme of like Embiid checking him out or something, which I'm trying to find on the internet.
Tarantino, to answer your question about Knicks Cavs, I think the Cavs are probably going to win one more, but the Knicks are going to close this out in the next couple games.
Yeah, Knicks.
If it
Cavs
ends
win-
up being 4-1 though, like Cleveland's got to have some hard conversations.
Yeah.
Cavs win game 5, Knicks win game 6. Like they just
Yeah.
can't score. Like literally the Cavs just can't score.
Yeah, and they're getting beat on hustle constantly, which is not something that should be happening in the playoffs. But like it's a Thibodeau team. That's what they make their names on. They're beating guys to boards. They're beating guys to kick balls and shit like that. Like it's just the Knicks are all over the court, and the Cavs look overwhelmed.
Yeah. So I saw someone, I forget who on Twitter, saying like
Josh Hart looks great too.
Josh Hart
Hart's
looks
awesome.
great.
That
Josh
the
Hart's
Cavs-
body is going to implode at some point because nobody can keep this up. But he looks great.
No, I was just saying I saw someone on Twitter say that like the Cavs' lack of like any wing depth at all is what's like killing them. Like they're very guard heavy, very like big man center
Front
heavy,
court
whatever you
heavy.
want to call that.
Yeah.
But like no wings that they can rely on.
They were hoping that Okoro would develop to that point, and he's
Yeah.
got like a good 3-point shot sometimes, but it's inconsistent, and he cannot be your only wing in a league of wings. Like
Well, weren't
there
they
is a
team at the
reality
deadline?
where they trade with, the Thunder or the Rockets or another team that is just packed to the brim with wings, and maybe they give up some draft assets to these teams, or maybe they give up Jared Allen or something like that, and they become a better team.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, weren't they rumored at the deadline to try to get a wing, the Cavs, just because
They were
do have...
trying to, and they
Trying to get
moved.
Mikal Bridges, right? Did I make that up?
I feel like a few teams did.
Yeah, I know the Nets got like crazy offers, and I mean rightfully so, held on to him. But
To
I
flip
swear
him,
that the Cavs
yeah.
were trying to get Bridges.
They
if I
might have been.
remember.
They might have been trying to get Bridges.
I know the Grizzlies are trying to get Bridges.
The Grizzlies are one that I saw that as well.
Yeah.
I Bill Simmons has brought it up a lot. It's kind of, I know they did it to like increase their reputation with players, but getting rid of Kevin Love for nothing was an interesting choice because he's given meaningful minutes to this Heat team.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he is. And also they're way too reliant on Karis LeVert. That's when you know your team isn't ready.
Is not a player you should be relying on in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's a play-in player at best. I mean, 4 years ago before his leg exploded, there was the potential there, but he's an awful defender and he's a streaky offensive player.
Yeah, I was a huge Levert guy back in the day, but he just
Yeah,
can't.
I think
His body.
Ferentinos was too when he was on the Nets.
Did love Karras, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember talking about him a lot because there was a couple games where he just had like stupid stat lines, like back to back to back, and then his legs exploded.
literally. Yeah.
Um, LA, Memphis tonight, game 5.
I think they close it out.
You think they close
This
it out?
I don't. But do you think Dylan Brooks talks to the media if the Grizzlies win? Do you think he
Oh
will?
yeah, I think I'm going to agree
Of
with
course.
you. I think the Grizzlies win tonight. I think the Lakers are going to win in 6.
Yeah, that's what I
I
think
think
as well.
if the Grizzlies win tonight, Dylan Brooks is going to say a lot to the media. John Moran is going to say a lot to the media, and there's probably going to be very little self-reflection going on in that locker room.
Do you think they go to the strip club after?
Ooh,
They have a day off.
And they're going to be in LA.
of course they have a day off. They are going to be in LA. I don't think you need to go to a strip club in LA. You can just go to your hotel room and the strip club will appear.
I feel like you could probably do that as an NBA player in like Salt Lake City.
And yet, I don't. For whatever reason, these guys don't do that. I mean,
yeah,
the world is your oyster. There's no reason to be going out in public.
I agree. But
They still drive intoxicated too.
Yeah,
Get in.
that's true.
Get a cab.
Yeah,
Pay for a few escorts. You got the money.
Yeah, just do what
Shit,
LeBron
the team will hook you up. Look at the Texans with Watson.
get those NDAs going, and
You'll be fine.
get back on the flight.
Yeah.
So Ferentinos, you think the Lakers close it out? Modi and I think Grizzlies.
I'm going for your sake too. I want to see the Lakers win this tonight. That'd be good.
Oh yeah, for my like mental and physical health, I need the Lakers to win tonight. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be running on fumes tonight because Monday's game was tough on a lot.
That game was crazy. Yeah.
That was I mean, D'Angelo Russell. Yeah, just a few highlights from the other games that have happened since we last recorded. That stretch when it was 97 and 90
straight points,
and he hit the 3 threes. That was freaking huge. And then
D'Angelo Russell not
right
good that entire night. Had a bunch of turnovers. Trash. Had a bunch of he ended up fouling out. But then for a 30-second period, he was the man, and then he fouled out immediately afterwards.
It's like J.R.
This
Smith.
Is the best situation we could have asked for because now you can't sink us out of the game.
Cavs down like 49-42 to the Warriors in game 7.
Straight threes.
Those 2 threes. Yeah.
J.R. Smith was the only player to
heavily contested.
He was the only player to make shots in like a 6-minute period on both teams.
Yeah.
Like literally they could not score for 6 minutes and JR
Swish.
You need a bucket getter. That's why Jamal Crawford was on teams for 70 years.
Dude, if you look at his YouTube like career highlights, J.R. Smith, you would think he's like the greatest shooting guard to ever play in a game. Like he's got some insane highlights.
There's some from earlier in his career when he was still jumping out of the gym where
Those
he's
nuggets
just like banging on people.
His alley-oops and just dunks. He has posters.
Before his legs started to slow down a little bit, that dude could rise higher than anybody else his size.
It was the Nuggets, right? Like, wasn't that when he was like at his like when
the Nuggets had a little bit of that Knicks period, like at the beginning of the Knicks period.
Yeah. I mean, I love J.R. Smith is great, but I feel like that's just like D'Angelo Russell's career. Like he sucks for 90% of it, but the 10% he looks incredible, and then like some team like the Timberwolves will talk themselves into it.
If you can like take advantage of that 10%, though, you can win a playoff game. It's just it's mitigating that 90%.
I was gonna say the problem is if he doesn't lose the 90%.
Yeah. Which I mean, that the thing is that there is an argument to be made that at any given point in these previous games he could have lost in the game, and he's had other good moments in this playoff run so far, but the intensity is just not there. But
he acts like he plays like he's always playing in like a pickup game where it's like I don't need to really give full effort. Like that's always the vibe I get from him.
Yeah, he plays in playoff games the way that LeBron plays game 3 of the season,
and like
where he's like still getting his legs under him. Yeah, and it's like, dude, you're in your mid-20s.
It's the playoffs.
You're not LeBron James. See, it's the playoffs.
It's the playoffs.
What are we doing? Did we talk about Miami, Milwaukee? Did we give predictions on that one?
I mean, I'm gonna go out and say I think the Bucks could win this. I think the Bucks are gonna win.
Me too.
This game or this series?
The series. I think they're gonna come back.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna take the Bucks to come back. I do think they win tonight. I don't even think they push it to 7 games. I think the Heat are gonna win this 4-2.
If the Heat are gonna win, they have to do it in game 6. Because if this goes to 7, like Jimmy Butler is incredible. He's already like nursing, what is it, like a calf injury? Like
I
I'm
imagine
already,
he's probably
He had
nursing
to
so
have the
many
most
injuries.
efficient 56-point game in history to like win a close game with the Bucks.
that was the most insane performance I've ever seen.
Sure.
Yeah.
But part of that was also the rest of the Heat were not particularly great. So, you hope you get a little bit more from the rest of his teammates. I mean, Giannis, in the minutes he played a very good game.
He was awesome. Yeah.
I just don't know if, like, I'm so nervous as a neutral fan about Giannis's back that it's going to like flare up and he's going to have a game where he has to leave 4 minutes in. And if he has to leave in like right after a game has started, I don't see the Bucks winning that game.
And he looked like he was laboring at some point.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly reduced from what there were times where he was losing rebounding battles to guys. He's taken time to get up the floor. Like, he's not driving the way that you expect from him. I mean, it's a back injury. Nobody ever looks good after a back injury, particularly 4 days later.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like Jimmy Butler, like, there's no way he'll be able to do what he did tonight, what he did in game 4. Like, obviously, like, he'll probably never do that again in the playoffs, even though he'll be incredible. And I feel like I just
for it to happen and then for him to save this clip and be like, fucking Matt Moda on the Doubters show.
Yeah. When he's setting in his own cameo, a free cameo.
Yeah. Because like I was actually having this conversation. Like, the Bucks right now are like plus 115 odds to win the series. But if you like, so they're the 12-point favorites tonight.
They're down 3-1 and they're only plus 115.
Isn't that this is so?
That's insane.
12-point favorites.
This was the math that we did. Let me know what you guys think. So right now they're like 12-point favorites to win.
Yeah, they're highly favorites tonight. I have them winning tonight, but I have Miami covering the spread.
So if they win tonight, game 6 in Miami, last game 6 in Miami, they were 8 or 8.5 point favorites. They'll probably be closer to like 5 or 6 point favorites if they win tonight, right? In game 6. And then if they win that game, they're probably back up to like 12-point favorites in game 7. Like, if you do the math, it's actually good. If you assume that logic, which obviously isn't perfect, it's actually good value to get the Bucks at plus 115, despite the fact that they're down 3-1.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, if you believe that they're going to win the next 3 games, then yes, that's the best value you're going to get the rest of the way through. It's the only value you're going to get the rest of the way through. Because if they lose one game, they're done. It hinges on so many other things potentially not going wrong for the Bucks over a period of 3 games. Like, if it was an even series, or if we still had, if it was 2-1 or whatever it may be, I'm thinking about that a lot more heavily. But once somebody goes up 3-1, and I know we've seen it happen, it's just so hard for me to justify betting on like that.
It's hard to predict it, which I understand.
Because these playoffs right now have shown nobody is winning 3 straight. Like, they might do it at this point. The Sixers are the only ones that did 4 straight. And the Nuggets did 3 straight and then lost.
And then they almost lost. They almost pulled Celtics.
They almost lost last night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Heat are going to escape from this one. And I said the Bucks were going to win the title this year.
Yeah, me too.
Like, this is me absolutely shitting on my previous prediction and being like, if they end up losing this, I could not be more wrong outside of them missing the playoffs. Like, I said at the beginning of the season that I had them winning the title.
That's true, but also, like, if you were told that Giannis would miss essentially 3 games, then you'd probably change your pick. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't really.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. Like, it's
sure.
You obviously can't predict injuries. And like, if Giannis goes down, then
I'd probably say the way that they look this year, though, I'd probably say that they're like a 2nd or 3rd round exit, because Drew is like a borderline all NBA player. Brook Lopez and Drew were both in Defensive Player of the Year considerations. Like, it's a little bit crazy to me how bad the Bucks have looked without Giannis.
Honestly, if you told me after game 1 he would have been out for the series, I still would have picked the Bucks to win. It's like, I can't really I still would have picked the Bucks. So, because
they're such a talented team.
Yeah,
and they looked insane in their blowout win.
Yeah, also true.
But for whatever reason, they're not consistent. And I mean, Jimmy's Jimmy. Like, we saw him do this in the finals against LeBron, and then he was so gassed for game 6 that he like couldn't even move on the court. But the dude put up a triple-double in the playoffs to steal a game against LeBron James. And he looked at times like the best player on the floor in that series. And Anthony Davis and LeBron James both looked incredible that entire series.
Sure,
Jimmy Butler had some moments where he was just the man. He
Sure he
looked like
wasn't-
Michael Jordan.
Wasn't gas from just too many late nights with Rachel Nichols.
Too many late nights with Rachel Nichols. You know, he was trying to hustle his coffee on the side.
Yeah, he
That's
was.
on him for taking on too many jobs while they were in the
Yeah.
league.
I mean,
Was he
for
hanging
Bubba,
with
you
your
should-
Eskimo brother?
Shut the fuck up. No, I don't think so.
Because didn't he get in trouble
I
for
know-
the bubble for bringing in
Daniel House?
girls?
Daniel House. Yeah, but what team was he on? Was he on the Suns?
he was on the Rockets.
Rockets.
He was still on the Rockets at that point.
Yeah.
I
People
forgot
always
the
make-
Rockets were still together at that point.
Yeah. Well, there's like a rumor in Sixers Twitter that he just took the fall for Harden. That he like basically took the fall for Harden having sex.
I've seen that rumor as well. Yeah. Maybe.
Good teammate.
All right. So
Not a great
husband.
Not a great father. Probably
that's not
not.
true.
Not the guy on that team.
Not a
that
good
you wanna
team
have
player.
taken that fall. Like
Well, he could have told us.
15 guys on that team. Have one of the other guys who's not married take the fall.
Well, they weren't. Those aren't good
They're
teammates.
probably all married.
There you go. Yeah, that Rockets team renowned for its marriages. Last one of the bunch, Golden State,
Yeah.
Sacramento. Game 4 tonight. This is the closest series thus far. Or sorry, game 5 tonight. Excuse me. They're 2-2 against each other. Ferentinos, how's this one going?
I don't think the Kings win another one. It's as sad as it is. I just think the Warriors, like in their 2 wins, have looked dominant. I mean, we'll see tonight. I think this is an important game. Fox's injury will be interesting to see, and the Warriors are terrible away from Oracle, so we
bad.
still could see another version of the Warriors.
They don't play in
just
Oracle
completely
anymore.
Suck tonight.
They play in the Chase
Wherever
Center.
the fuck they play. Yes, whatever crypto
Chase
arena.
Yeah, I miss Oracle all the time. That was a fun arena.
Yeah. San Francisco Stadium. But we'll see. Like I hope the Kings light the beam and take a game and make it go 6 or 7, but I can see the Warriors taking this game tonight, winning in a really close one where they have no business winning, but Curry pulls something out of his ass in the 4th quarter and they end up sneaking out a win and then just blowing the Kings out at home in 6 to win it. But yeah, I mean, I think the Warriors are going to get to the finals. They just, when they look like the Warriors at times, it's hard to pick against them.
But
I need to see this Warriors win an away game before I'll pick them to win an away game. I didn't buy it before the playoffs started. I kept like holding firm that it was just such a weird like stat, but they lost both games in.
Yeah, it's continued to hold true.
Yeah, whatever. Where did the Kings play? The name of their stadium? I forget.
Oh, I don't know.
The Sack.
That's what it's
I
called.
don't think it's called the Sack.
No, it's the Sack.
There
Golden
go,
One
headphones.
Center. That'd be right. That's what I'm looking at NBA.com. That can't be right.
Name.
What?
We have to.
Yeah, the Golden One Center.
Golden.
It's the
Playing
most
at Golden State.
technologically advanced arena. I don't know how they can prove that, but it is.
Well, some claims you don't need to prove.
World's
I mean, is
best
that like
cup of
is
coffee.
it a really new arena? Is the Kings arena new?
Honestly, I don't know.
I could see it. I've never heard of the Golden One Center.
Yeah,
Me neither.
I don't know anything about where they play other than the fact that they have the beam on the roof.
Light the
Um,
beam.
That's the thing. Like, I got to see this team light the beam one more time. I'm taking the Kings tonight. I don't know if they win the series. I sadly don't think they do, but I do think they win tonight. And then I think the Warriors are finally going to get a road win in Game 7.
In Game 7.
It would be
Yeah.
perfect.
But if the Lakers close it out tonight, that means the Warriors or the Kings are going to be tired for the next round, and hopefully the Lakers can win that in 4, and we don't have to talk about the Warriors anymore.
No, when
I
I
don't
was
think that's
doing
going to
like
happen, but
playoff betting research, one of the stats was like, so if 2 teams, the wording of this is confusing, but like if 2 teams are playing past the first round, the team that had the shorter series prior won, even if they were the underdog, like 60, 65, whatever % of the time, if that makes sense. The wording, yeah.
That makes sense.
You're tracking, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the Lakers close it out tonight, regardless of what happens, they would be the more well-rested team.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just any more rest for LeBron, who although may have gotten jinxed online. I don't know if you saw this on RNBA,
I
Griffin, but
saw it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to
LeBron
talk
James
about
has
that.
never missed a playoff game due to injury.
240 playoff games. He's never
can't-
missed one with injury.
Yeah, and someone was like, delete this shit right now.
Yeah, it's so clearly somebody trying to.
It's actually
to curse him.
270 games,
270.
which is insane.
There you go.
That's crazy when you consider how many players have missed playoff games recently. Like the past
Yeah.
3 years, the worst one I can remember.
Kawhi,
worth noting that
KD,
the Lakers
Kyrie.
have beaten the Warriors 3 times this year. They only have one loss to the Warriors this year, and it was I think the first game of the season, if I remember correctly. Every game since like the trade deadline when they got rid of Russ, they've gone 3-0 since then. I'm not saying
Just
that
curious.
means anything, but it's worthwhile.
So they played 3 times post trade deadline.
They
Is that what you
played
said?
February 11th, February 23rd, and March 5th.
How many games did Steph play?
I know he played in at least 2 of them.
Oh, that's more than I would have thought, because that was like right around when he got hurt again.
Yeah, so he came back, I think, for the second and third ones.
Okay. I wouldn't have guessed that. Yeah, I mean that's better than I would have thought. I feel like the Lakers probably match up not horribly with the Warriors. I mean, nobody really matches up.
No,
with Steph,
I mean,
but
yeah,
like,
it's if they don't try and compete on threes the entire time, like they're the significantly better interior team. They're also the better team in transition, but the shooting is such a noticeable drop off from the Warriors to the Lakers that like the defense has to be locked in for 48 minutes.
If the Warriors go small, like you need AD to not have one of those games. I mean, he's been good this series. Like it was really just game 2 where he like was a classic soft AD game, but you need him to not.
Yeah. Game 4, he was hard to watch offensively. This one yesterday or 2 days ago, excuse me. But his defense, even when he hasn't been there offensively, like his defense has been keeping them in these games. Yeah. And he deserves his dap for that, because if he even like they're not sitting him basically at all. We don't really have anyone behind him that you can play an AD spot, because Mo Bamba, if he was even healthy, he's like a 12-minute a game kind of guy, and he's not healthy.
Yeah.
The interior depth issues of the Lakers are probably going to be what ends up killing them, but I don't think that's going to happen against the Warriors.
Yeah. I mean, like none of these teams really left in the West, except for even like the Nuggets. Like they're all so
they're flawed,
not so flawed and not deep, like so shallow. Yeah. Like especially the
Clippers were the deepest team, but they lost their main 2 guys, and so like having all that depth don't mean shit if you've got $90 million sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
which
especially
is
the
a crazy amount of money.
Which sucks though.
Yeah, I always hate that comes out after the series.
Why
I hate the way the Clippers do this generally.
Yeah.
Where they don't honestly report what's going on with their players. They seem to be the only team that does this like this. And I think it's one problem among many with the Clippers organization. I don't know if it's Ballmer. I don't know if it's their front office. I don't know what it is. But the Clippers seem to be just trying to buy their way to a title. And as much as I like Kawhi and Russ and PG and all these guys, like I like a lot of players on their team, I'm happy that it's not working.
Yeah.
Because like they're not doing anything to build continuity. It's just like, how many super teams can we slap together? Fuck them.
If Kawhi and PG were healthy, but you can't really make that argument if they're never healthy. That's like
Clippers are cursed. They're a cursed franchise.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean,
forever be there. Same with the
Wolves. A lot of Lakers fans tried to make an argument in 2021. They were like, yeah, if AD and LeBron hadn't gotten injured. It's like, well, they did. Like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks that they had the short off season. It sucks that they looked like they were probably the better team than the Suns, and the Suns end up going to the finals that year. But they got it. Like, you can't say if or but. Like, they did get hurt, and part of that is because one of them's fucking 1,000 years old, and the other is Anthony Davis, who's been getting hurt since his rookie year. Like, that's the situation that you put yourself in by paying these guys.
And you never had to see Anthony Davis in the playoffs his first 7 years of his career because they never got there.
They never got there. Yeah. Well, there was a couple years there.
They got there 1 year
in the East.
Oh yeah, 1 year with Rondo actually.
Yeah, when they
I remember that as an 8 seed.
They dog walked. Didn't they dog walk the Blazers 1 year with
the Blazers? They beat one year, and then there was another year where the Clippers beat them in the playoffs. Because I think I remember
1 year they were the 8 seed, but I think they lost to the Warriors. I think that was one of the
Warriors
KD years.
Yeah.
And
there was the year that it was Drew and Boogie and Mirotic and AD, And when Boogie was healthy, they were and Rondo.
That's
And
a
when
dangerous
Rondo,
team.
AD, and Boogie were healthy and playing on the court together, they were like 19-2. And
it
then
was like
Boogie's
That's a
Achilles
big
blip.
three. It's a big three.
It's a
right
it's a
there.
genuine big three because of what Rondo does, even at that point in his career.
it was like the post trade deadline trade they made for Boogie, right? It was like, yeah. I
And
remember
they
that.
looked like they were like it was like AD
That's some
and
gumbo
Boogie
right
They're
there.
bringing the
looked
Twin
like they were
Towers
going to
back.
have like triple doubles every single night. Like there was a chance they were going to get triple doubles with blocks, and it was so much fun for like a
And
month.
then I remember the play when DeMarcus Cousins got hurt. He was like running out of bounds to try to save a ball, right? And he like tore his Achilles.
It sucked, and that was honestly the end of DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah,
then he had,
was
like,
the end of the year.
We have never seen Boogie as a like
Is he in China
worthwhile
now?
NBA player. Maybe. I know he was on the Nuggets last year.
The Nuggets,
Yeah.
He was on the Lakers and he tore his ACL.
Yeah, I mean he was trying to ring chase towards the end, and honestly, like he's one of those guys that I wish had gotten one. I think he was on the Warriors for a little bit.
Yeah, he was on the Warriors the year that KD and Clay both got hurt.
Yeah. So he wasn't able to get it there. I mean, there was multiple guys that I was
Fucking
like rooting for to
Raptors.
get rings that missed out on rings because it was the year that somebody else got hurt. That's the way it goes.
It's the way she goes.
Yeah. Maybe somebody will sign John Wall next season to be
human fragility.
He was on the Rockets the bubble year, which I didn't remember at all.
Yeah. They had him. I mean, Boogie. Honestly, I'm surprised the Nuggets did not give him like a minimum to continue to be a backup to Jokic, because in 14 minutes a game,
he was fine.
He does a lot of the shit that Jokic does. He's one of the few guys who is able to do what Jokic does, basically acting as your point as a center. Well, he can't rebound anymore. He can't move up and down the court, but he doesn't need to because he's still a really good floor general.
They just needed to give DeAndre Jordan money the first day. He was the first signing in free agency. They couldn't have survived. I mean,
who does that dude have dirt on? Like, I don't understand. He's been washed for half a decade.
I really don't understand why coaches.
And he was never that good.
His first team All NBA.
He's a glue guy.
If you want to talk about people that other players got paid, Chris Paul got that man paid.
Chris Paul's gotten a lot of cent. Like Bismack Biyombo is now getting like run for the or the Suns as a
Biyombo
center.
got his first big contract.
It was a playoff
run when he was on the Raptors.
It was that playoff run. But didn't he have like an insane playoff run?
He had like 10 blocks in a game, and everyone was like, this dude's about to get $100 million. And like he can't catch the ball, he can't finish through traffic, he can't do anything else. But he had a 10-block playoff game, and they were like, that dude
he
literally
guarded
just got like $10 million a block.
Who did they play? Because who did he shut down? I remember it was a big thing.
There was a game where he was beating the shit out of LeBron James.
It was against the Cavs. Yeah, it was the Cavs year. Yeah. But no, they won a series.
He may have like shut down Kevin Love or something in one of the games.
But I was gonna say, but then the Cavs won.
Yes.
No, I think Tarantino's is right that they won a first round series where he was incredible, but I don't remember who they beat.
Yeah.
The Raptors, maybe the Pacers.
I was gonna say
like that.
The Cavs
could have been, yeah, or like the Hawks.
The Raptors every year.
Or the Hawks. It might have been the Hawks.
Yeah. Then the Magic gave him like $100 million because they're like, what's your lawn length? Yeah, okay, sure.
They're like, yo, we can pair you with Mo Bamba, who we haven't even drafted yet. Hell yeah,
get the Mickey ears on. You're coming to Disney.
Oh God, so many bad teams. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how things go. Hopefully, by the time
I'm excited for the games tonight. The games
tonight's game. It's a good slate.
Slate.
I'm actually really excited for pretty much all of these games, even the ones that look like they should be potential. Like New York Cleveland could be a blowout, but I'm still so curious to see if the Cavs can steal one more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Golden State Sacramento, every single game has been incredible. So that's been my favorite series thus far.
How many nut punches? Over under 1.5 nut punches in all 4 games tonight.
Over.
Across 4 games?
Across all 4 games.
It's been a point of emphasis with the refs, you can tell.
It's been a weird year for how many guys have been punched in the nuts. I feel like we have to take the over.
And if we're counting Embiid's kick to the nuts, then definitely going to be over.
Yeah.
Because if we're allowing kick to the nuts.
Yeah. Your dogs are very unhappy about nut punching. They hate Draymond Green.
They're saying it should have been a flagrant 2 and an ejection is what they're saying, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
I would say that they were right.
They probably were right. All right, let's get out of here. We got games to watch and Halo to play for Ferentinos and I.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
As always, thank you guys for joining us. Wherever you're watching us or listening to us or whatever it may be, make sure you like if you have the option. Make sure you follow or subscribe if you have the option. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our previous episodes, share it with your friends. Every single week, we'd love to see more and more viewers. This past week was one of our better weeks in terms of how many people watched us on YouTube. So that was cool to see.
Let's go.
And yeah, keep sharing us with people, keep tuning in, and playoffs are going to keep rocking. Hopefully when we're back here next week, the Lakers have moved on to the next round and Draymond Green has torn his ACL.
And surprise
Wow.
guest Kristen Jenner will be on the program.
Have some
Oh,
respect.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Well, I mean, I guess there could be a Kristen Jenner. I'm not going to rule that out.
I mean, yeah.
If that's the best that we can find, then Kristen Jenner is going to be the guest. We'll see you guys next time.